Welcome to the Color Timer podcast. I am your host, Vincent Taylor. This is the show where we speak to professionals who work with color. Most of the time. Today we are speaking to somebody who works with black and white, or more specifically, black and grey. My guest is Mr. Jhon Gutti. He is a tattoo artist who specializes in black and grey tattoo work. On top of that, we're going to his studio. So it's the first time I've taken the show on the road, as it were. I'll be using my 15-minute sand timer, as per usual. And I think it's going to be good. I'm a bit, on the road. Never done it before. We'll see, out in the wild. All right, let's go.
Take your seats because the hourglass is about to turn. We are entering the world of the micro podcast. Explore the craft, creativity, and science of professionals who use color to tell stories. Welcome to The Color Timer with Vincent Taylor.
Today we are in a tattoo studio in LA, and my guest is Mr. Jhon Gutti. Thanks for coming on, Jhon.
Thank you so much for having me here, Vincent.
Now, I don't want to forget, I've got to start the sound tunnel.
Okay.
All right,
Yep.
Here we go. You ready?
Yeah.
You want to do it?
A lot of pressure. I'll do it. Boom.
10 minutes. You specialize in black and white tattoo work.
Yes.
That's your world. But when I was talking to you originally, and I said, "Oh, do you know anyone who does color work? But I want to speak to them and get them on the show." And then, as I spoke to you, I realized that you do reference color and you look into color.
Yes.
What's your fascination with black and white, first of all?
So it's, in my opinion, on the skin, it ages well. So I think it's a more grateful and gracious, result. So in the long run, color will suffer more from sun, aging, all the things that are organically happen to our body. And I feel like black will last in a better shape. And as a personal preference, I think it's more classy when you look at a black and gray tattoo. I'm not talking nothing wrong on the color. There's nothing wrong about it. So it's amazing. It looks beautiful too. In my personal preference, I think black and gray ages better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now backing up a little bit, your background is as an architect. You trained to be an architect.
Yes.
What pulled you over into the world of tattoo work?
I actually got my degree and I did work about 3 years as an architect, but this all happened in Colombia. So the industry is different, as a major industry in every society. There's a lot of things that are out of your control. Like you're not gonna progress, you're not gonna get paid well if you don't know someone in the company, blah blah blah. All that bureaucratic things behind the curtain, So at the time that I started studying, I was already starting to tattoo. So you can say this started as a hobby, then as a way to support my career. Because studying is expensive. Luckily, I had my parents' support, but this was definitely a good way to help myself. So skipping forward, when after these 3 years of me trying in different companies and, getting a very bad payment, I was barely making it monthly. So I was like, no, man, this can't keep going like this. So I went back to full-time tattoos just because it was already my comfort zone. I got out of my comfort zone to try architecture and it worked out. Went back to what I know.
When you're building a tattoo, I'm very conscious of the way you talk about this, the way you create separation.
Yes.
In your black and gray work is incredible. I'd love you to talk about that, but also you did mention to me that sometimes you'll use a color reference as well.
Yes. So basically, when you're looking at a black and gray image, you're barely seeing 3 tones. Dark, middle, light, and the lightest line, which is the white.
Yeah.
So in reality, it's 3 tones of black, right? But I added a few extra steps there in order to have a better transition, like a better separation of the subjects with the background. But color has, is a way more complex thing to understand. So let's talk about a portrait, right? So when you look at a portrait, you're only technically seeing 3 tones in black and gray. But when you look at that in color, you see way more. You're looking at like temperatures. You're looking at so many other things involved in a photo or an image as a reference.
Right.
So in order for me to make the right decisions, I support myself staring at a color reference next to a black and gray reference. Why? Because at the end of the day, I'm not making a photo. I'm not creating a photo on anybody's skin. I'm making an interpretation of what I'm seeing. And in the process, I got to make sure that this tattoo is going to age well. So I support myself from color reference to understand better the separation of the tones. Since in black and gray, I'm only seeing like barely 3 tones. So I go to the color, see the temperature separation, and make those decisions, into the skin. So that's why I stare at color reference, black and gray reference, and then my brain is whatever is doing in the product.
I want to talk about black because, there's black and then there's black.
There's a black is black, yeah.
And you've mentioned to me a couple of times about that idea as you're approaching the end of a tattoo.
Yes.
Then you'll kind of give it that final pass to really see black.
Yes.
Talk to me about black.
So, in tattoos, in the whole process, there's a lot of variables involved, and most of them, you can control them, but there's this tiny group of things that are completely out of your control, and you have to wait until the very end in order to understand what's going on. So we're tattooing in the body, is a living organ. So, of course, healing is one of those crucial things that you just hope for the best. You take all your precautions, you take all the steps and hope for the best, because once the client leaves the studio, you are in no control, my friend. Like, it's whatever it happens, right? So that's why, like, during the process, I only use a black that I like to call it the blending black, which is the one that I also, quote unquote, water down to create the dark tone of a shade, the mid tone of the shade, the light tone of the shade, and then the skin and my white highlights. That's my process. So I use blending 3 tones of shades, the blending black, 3 tones of shade, your skin, whatever your skin tone, I have to, like, those 3 tones might change depending on your skin tone.
Of course.
Let's say it's a darker skin tone, so I might not be able to use 3 tones, but just 2, and use more of the skin in order to retain the structure over the years, So once that everything heals, once that the client comes back and I'm able to see the result, let's say a sleeve. So a sleeve is probably 10 to 12 sessions to complete. So after all the layout is done, after all the tattoo is like there, I like to analyze the skin, see how it's holding all these tones, and then introduce the darkest black, which is a thick ink, that is way more concentrated than the regular blending black. The blending black is thin, it just goes quick, and it's good to, like, structure the whole tattoo during the process. But then if I want to, like, accent some darkness, then I need the capital black.
Right.
That's when the actual, like, deepest black comes into the game.
Yeah.
So that's why I wait until the very end to see this. Some skins are so light that they don't even need that. The structure and the contrast is good enough. Like, there's no need for that. But some others require it, especially when, like, the tattoo has a lot of, like, when it's like a complex design, and you want to use some of that to kind of, like, separate better the subject from the background, make all these like the small decisions that actually make a huge difference.
Right.
So that's until the very end, my friend.
I talk a lot when I interview people for the podcast about craft and art, and the separation and the blurring of the two.
Yeah.
Now, your craft, I mean, we touched on some of those variables, skin, inks, needles. How then do you balance that with bringing your artistic vision into the work as well?
I think it's a try and error kind of thing, man. Like over the years, like, ink have been evolving since I first started doing this. They're better today than they used to be 20 years ago, 18 years ago when I exactly started. So everything is like, this industry is constantly moving forward, as every industry is, right? So I think that machines back in the days were like just very different from what we're using right now, heavier, louder. You needed at least 4 or 5 machines set up on your tray. Now you only need one at the most, because one will do everything for you. So it just keeps changing. Like if I go online and look for something new today, I'm pretty sure there's going to be something that is like moving forward already, Yeah. I was just scrolling this morning and then I had this ad on, I think it was Instagram, about like these new disposable metal cartridges with needles. Right now we're using, first what the big boom was, disposable cartridges. And I was like, holy shit, how is this thing,
Yeah.
Now everybody uses it.
Yeah.
And now like we're going from plastic to metal. So I'm just curious how it will affect the inflow, because plastic has pores, metal might be able to like avoid those pores as the traditional tubes, the grip tubes that we used to use a lot before, So we're going from metal to plastic and now we're going back to metal, just disposable. So this industry is constantly like moving somewhere, So talking about that, we're going to need a lot of time to just go a little deeper into that,
Well, I had a guest that I spoke to a little while ago and it was the same thing. I went, there's so many questions I have about this part of it.
Yeah.
And I did kind of maybe tickle the carrot about coming on season 2.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll come back and I'd love to talk.
Yeah.
Do you this might be diplomatic, a diplomatic answer or not, I don't know. But with some clients, are there some tattoos that you go, no, I don't want to do that?
Yeah. It's something that happens very often. Sometimes you don't feel comfortable with the person.
Yeah.
And that's
wow.
That's why I always do like a consultation and try to see how I feel with the client, just to make sure that I'm the right person for them.
Yeah.
And because if I sign up on a long sleeve or a big scale tattoo like a back or a leg, and then I don't like the vibe of the person, you're gonna be stuck in this position for a long time. So I try to. That had happened. That's why I started doing this. Started like kind of like filtering the content of my book. And saying to like. That's on my case. And also like sometimes I'm not the right artist. The person wants something that is completely out of my league or they're expecting something very different from what I do. Let's say someone asked me to do color right now. I haven't done color in so long, like I'm definitely not the right person. Like there's a lot of good artists out there that are faster than me with color, because if I go with color, I'll be so slow. I haven't done it in so long.
Have you ever encountered a project where you've gone, you know what, this will look better in color?
Yeah. I've been honest about it.
Or the opposite,
I've been honest about it. Like sometimes people are expecting this like meant to be color tattoos, but they want it in black and gray. And then you like create this image, put it in black and gray, and you're like, Now go to color, go somewhere else, because this will definitely look better in color.
Yeah.
You can get it in a nice way in color. It's not very often that happens. It happens more often to go from color to black and gray. In my case,
yeah,
it's That's my thing. So of course it will it will make more sense to me all the time to go black and gray. But the other way around, yeah, it happened to a couple of times.
Now, you're also a painter.
Yes.
I'm sort of fascinated and intrigued by the idea. Like, you make a painting, and it's got this life. Who knows how long it will last, and
Color.
But a tattoo,
Yep.
has this lifespan, like a literal lifespan of the person that's on it.
Yep.
How do you feel about that? But knowing that your artwork will quite literally die.
So it's a duality. I hate it and I love it too.
Yeah.
I hate it because all the effort you put into like make crisp lines and to make crisp transition and to make everything looks like very sharp edges and all this thing, all that thing is gonna go away very soon. And when I say very soon, I'm talking like maybe 5 years you're gonna start seeing this change.
Yeah.
Because your body is constantly like analyzing what this is, and in the middle of this analysis, in this analysis, it will just like start to like make you fuzzy, So I hate it because of that, but at the same time, it's the beauty of it, like your body is aging. Everybody, since the day we're born, we start aging, So it's meant to happen that way. There's no other way around it, So I hate it, but I love it. I love that that's the nature, and you just have to accept it.
In a similar frame of question, you spend so many hours on that artwork, and then the person goes by and you never see it again. I mean, how does that make you feel?
So it's not always like that. Like, it's a bittersweet feeling, It's, you feel happy because you completed the piece, right? That's amazing. I finally completed this piece. Now you can see the whole result.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you never know if the client is coming back, and you already developed this connection with this person over the many sessions you have done, that you're like, just hope for the best. They come back on time just to say hi or to get another tattoo, which is the case with so many of my clients. I had just like I would say probably 70-80% of my clientele is just like people that keep coming back and get more.
That's amazing.
Get more. So it's a long time relationship, basically.
I'm in that world again where my sand times run out, which it's always the case. It's like but again, that's part of the charm of this.
Yes.
It's like, but I've got one last question for you, which I'm sure you get asked all the time. If someone's thinking about their first tattoo, what's your advice?
So my advice for this kind of people is first understand what you want. Like, is this just something that you just want to do because of the moment? Like, you want just a tattoo just to say, I did it, but are you planning on getting something more later? If that's the case, don't go too small, because like sometimes you get a small tattoo right here, and then sometimes months later or years later, they come back and say like, hey, you know what? I want a full sleeve, but now you have this thing here in the middle and it's going to be on the way all the time.
Yeah.
So if you are doing it just to get a taste of it, that's fine. But if you're doing it to get a taste of the feeling and make sure that you can handle a full sleeve, try that in a part where you like can be sure that it's not going to be on the way later for something bigger, because those small tattoos sometimes ruin the flow, ruin everything for a whole design. And it's funny, some people will say, but it's just a small tattoo right here. Yes, it's right where you need a face. It's right when you need this like very like important detail of a certain subject.
Yeah.
It's something that will be my advice, man. Like if it's something just like teenage idea, let's go and do it. Yeah, let's go crazy and do it. Blah, blah, blah. That's fine. Get it. It's a small tattoo. You're gonna get the experience as a story to tell to your grandkids, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. But if you're taking these extra steps just to make sure that you can play the big game for later, do it where it is not gonna be in the way. Get it. I don't know, man. On the side right here, or
what is square.
Yeah. Then it's not gonna ruin.
Jhon, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having a chat.
Thank you so much.
I really appreciate it.
No, I appreciate you having me, man.
That's it. Our first offsite interview, which is kind of hilarious. It definitely feels very talk showy. Thank you for listening. Thank you to MixingLight.com, my executive producer, my friend of the show, Phil White, and to my producer, Kayla. And thanks for listening.
Well, there you go. My first out in the wild recording. It was good. It was fun. Hey, thank you so much for listening. I do really appreciate it. I wanted to add a quick note at the end just to say thank you, everyone, for all your wonderful feedback. It's been really kind and really overwhelming. Thank you for listening. And I'll see you next time.
The Color Timer, a micro podcast experience.